hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be our first run. I don't even know what I'm going to call this segment yet. I've got the 4 Year Drive podcast, but this is going to be some interviews that I'm going to do with various church members or community members. And so tonight, our first, I've told her she's a guinea pig. It's going to be Candace Bates, or Candace Milburn Bates, I guess we should say. So anyhow, but one of the reasons for doing this is that hopefully this will be kind of like the 4 Year Drive podcast. You can listen to this in your car as you drive, but you'll get a chance to maybe know a little bit more about Candace. I know that she has a lot of family in this church, and they know her, but there are others that don't. So anyhow, Candace, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and all that. But so I guess, yeah, if you lived in this area your whole life, where were you born? Where did you grow up? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I was born in Hillsboro.
Okay.
And I grew up in Peoria, between Hillsboro and Whitney.
Yes.
But, of course, grew up in the church. So, I don't know. I'm thinking 3rd or 4th generation now. My great-grandparents went to church here. My grandparents, my dad, of course, grew up in the church.
Deep roots.
Me, and now our kids, yeah. So we've been here forever and ever.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That really is. It's kind of neat to have those kind of roots. So now, did you go to school here in Covington?
No, I went to school in Hillsboro.
Okay, I was thinking I'd heard that or remembered you saying that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't for sure. So your whole career school-wise was Hillsboro?
Yes.
I guess kindergarten through
Little
senior
people's school,
high school.
3-year-old,
Okay.
yeah, all the way through high school, and then, of course, transitioning into college, too.
Okay.
So I went to Hill for a couple of years. Actually, I started at Hill my senior year in high school.
Yes.
And then finished the 2 years there, and then went on to UTA.
Okay, so you went to UTA, is that where you graduated from
I
there?
did.
Okay, see, that's my school, too. Well, actually, that and ACU, but yes, my undergraduate was there at UTA.
Yeah.
So, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
We've got that in common.
It was a good school.
It is. It really is. That's one of my things that I found is it's really kind of a best-kept secret. You can get a fantastic education there. All the teachers I ran into really were good teachers.
I had a lot of great teachers, too.
Well, what was your major there at UTA?
Business.
Okay, you did business, huh?
Yes.
Just business management, business what?
I started business accounting. Actually,
Okay.
I started off pre-med. I was
okay.
decided I was going to go that route. And then I decided, I just don't like science enough to do that, I guess.
Yeah.
So I switched to business. I thought about accounting and then decided I liked people too much to count beans all day. So
Yes.
then I went into the route of business management. Actually, starting college and high school helped me to graduate on time. So, yeah, switched my degree plan as a junior in college.
Well, that's not uncommon, actually. That's not uncommon. Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear you say that because we have that in common. I thought I was going to be a business major, too, at UTA.
Yeah.
And I took the accounting course, that very first one. I actually did real well at it. Now, see, back in that day, your grades weren't posted online. And so I called the teacher. Anyway, what it matters is I called the teacher and said, what did I do on my final? Did they still do departmental finals back then?
Uh-huh.
Okay, they were doing it back then, too, because they were trying to weed you out. But anyway, I remember she said, you're really good at this. You could do this. And I said, I don't want to offend you, but after taking this class, this is the last thing I'm going to do with my life,
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, so we've got that in common. You take a class, and it doesn't matter if you do well. You're like, I don't really want to count beans the rest of my life.
Exactly. Every single day.
Oh, anyway. Now, okay, I guess, let me say for me and Candace, that is not putting down people that are accountants. I guess we should.
We love accountants, too.
We love accountants. I have an accountant. I love her. She's been my accountant for years. So, Cindy, if you're listening, I doubt you are. Love you to death, but it just takes that personality, which wasn't me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's neat.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go back to high school or school for a second. Did you play sports?
Yes. Pretty much every sport except for softball.
Okay.
I'm just not a big fan of softball, but I ran track, did cheerleading, of course, basketball, volleyball.
Wow.
I think they just equated you're tall to you have to be good at some sort of sport, or maybe it was just that all of my friends were in athletics. So if you were an athlete of any sort in a small school, you just by default did everything
You
else.
just did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing with small school experiences. If you show up, you're on the team.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's about it. Just show up and you're there. So, okay, tell me again now. You did everything but softball, right?
Yes, no
Okay.
softball. And baseball is Cody's favorite sport. So that was a challenge early on. He wanted to talk a lot about baseball, and I am clueless.
Yeah, it's one of those things, too. I've never been a big baseball fan. You have, but somebody that loves the game.
Oh, yeah.
It's a passion, isn't it?
It definitely.
Did Cody play baseball?
He did.
Oh, okay. So, like, all through high school and...
From the time he was old enough to hold a bat,
Okay.
I think.
He was playing.
Yeah.
Well, very very good. That'll give me something to talk about with Cody when I
Oh,
get him in
he
the chair.
loves baseball.
So we could talk about baseball for hours if I get him in here.
Absolutely.
Think we get him in
good.
here in the chair?
Now that might be tough. He's pretty shy, you know.
Well, now I've seen him do a TV interview though.
He has. That's true.
But he was talking about hats,
Yeah.
which he loves.
You could talk about hats for hours.
But if he loves baseball, we could talk about that too.
Probably so.
I will see what I can do.
Twist his arm a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you did all the sports. You did that kind of stuff. Because I think I remember you
Thanks.
telling me you had to have knee surgery, didn't you?
I did.
Mhm.
And I don't even know what I did. They just said that it could have been years of repeat injury. And
Repeat injury.
then one day I woke up and that was it.
Mm-hmm. Now, it sticks in the back of my mind. I heard you talk one time about a Mustang you had.
Yes. My very first car was a Mustang.
Uh-huh.
When I was 15, I
Yes.
came home. Well, actually, I guess my parents came home and they pulled me out to the garage, and I had a Mustang GT.
Mm-hmm.
And then in all of my wisdom in college, I decided I needed a faster car. So I traded in that paid off car.
Uh-huh.
For all of you that are old enough that you can buy your own vehicle, if you have a paid off one, don't do that. It was really dumb. But it was fast, so I traded it in for a Cobra.
Oh.
And I loved it. I loved it.
So you like fast cars?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why are you driving what you're driving now? Is it the mama thing?
Yeah. Partially.
Partially,
Having space.
yeah.
And then I realized that it was unsafe in a lot of ways. They're just so small.
Mhm.
I don't want my kids in a little bitty car.
Now, did you ever race
Oh.
it?
No. Never.
Okay, y'all can see
Ever.
her face right now.
So
Okay.
I do have a funny story about my
Oh.
dad. I can tell you on this
Oh, okay.
one.
I
I
do
just
wanna
thought of
hear
it.
that, yeah.
I can tell on him. You know, my dad was the justice of the peace
Yes. Mm-hmm.
forever and ever. And my uncle, Dennis, had not been in my car. And so my dad said, let's go show Uncle Den what your car can do. And they live out in Peoria. So we pull off the gravel road. We get onto Highway 22. And he said, Candace, go. So, of course, I dropped a gear and just took off and pinned my uncle back in the seat just about the time we're passing a state trooper.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, he pulled us over and he got up to the window and my uncle was petrified. I mean, he is just, you know, white knuckles on the seat, sitting up straight, and the officer shines his flashlight in his face. Do you know how fast you were going? You know, what are you doing? And then my dad said, called him by name, so-and-so, I'm so sorry. My dad, y'all know how big he is in the back seat of Mustang, first of all.
Oh, he's in the back.
He's in the back
him in
seat.
the front. Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah. Mhm.
He's so tall,
Yeah.
and he's curled up in the back seat, and this trooper just takes his flashlight and shines it in my dad's face, and then jumps back and says, oh, Judge, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So needless to say, I got by without a ticket for once being the judge's daughter. I think that was the only time that played in my favor. But just seeing the look on that officer's face it was probably worth getting pulled over for it.
Okay, very good. So, but other than that, you were a very safe driver. Didn't race. You were always very...
I really was.
Okay.
Honestly, I think what it boiled down to is gas was expensive and a supercharger uses a lot of fuel. So
Oh,
it just
okay.
sucks it
You
right
don't
down.
buy that car for mileage.
No, definitely not.
You don't buy it for mileage.
So when the younger people wanted to race, then through my mind was the car payment and then the fuel to put in it. So,
You're very practical, aren't you?
well,
Sort of.
I've gotten there.
You've gotten there. Okay. Very good. So, yeah. Well, I was curious. You said something. You said, so I dropped a gear. Was it a manual?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so you can drive a stick?
Well, that's another funny story, Barry, because I could not when I bought that car. Another
Oh.
bit of wisdom. You should probably be able to drive the car. But no, I couldn't. I had to learn how to drive a standard in that car
Okay.
with a racing clutch. It was a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, see, when you said I dropped a gear, I thought
Yeah.
it was a manual.
It was.
Cobra.
Yeah.
And you bought it not knowing. How did you get it off the? How did you even test drive it at the lot?
It was entertaining. I'll put it that way.
Oh boy. I
Yeah.
bet that would've been
And then
something.
my dad was, he came back with me because my mom drove my GT back home from the dealership in Arlington. And he made me go all the way through Burleson and through Cleburne for all those lovely red lights to get
Yes.
lots of practice on the way home.
You need to find you a hill to start on.
Well, that was when I was at Hill, so one of
Oh,
my
no
classes
problem.
was
Yes. Mhm.
downstairs. Yeah, I
Yep.
got lots of practice there too.
Well, for whatever it's worth, I'm impressed. That's cool that you can drive a stick because the reality is not many people can today.
I know. I think it's a life skill that people need to know.
I don't want to be sexist, but it seems like
most women don't.
A lot of women don't. So
No.
I think that's pretty cool. You can drive a stick and you're a woman.
Well,
whatever that's worth.
And I think that was a comical thing. Most of the people that would drive up next to me at a red light wanting to race were guys because I think they just thought, oh, this girl can't drive this car.
Oh, now I think that was an admission right there, folks.
Well, and there were times, Barry, there were times I did like the fast car.
Yeah, okay. I will move on. We'll move on. I just remember, it seemed like I remember you saying something about you had a Mustang. So that's I was just curious about that. Well, very good. So how did you meet Cody?
Cody and I met in the Western industry, which most people that knew me when I started working in the Western industry thought that was really weird. Because I grew up in the country, but I have never ridden a horse in my life to today.
Okay.
I've never ridden a horse. So people just thought that was the weirdest thing ever. But yeah, I started working at Sargent's Western World as a manager in Arlington, and he worked there. It was not love at first sight.
Oh, it
I have
wasn't?
to say, he didn't like me.
He didn't?
No.
Cody, what's wrong with you?
He didn't like me. He would tell this story too. But
okay.
when I started working there, he had worked there for years, and he had just gotten back from a road show. He traveled all over with the company, and when he got back, they had hired me, and he wanted that job. But I didn't know, so he automatically didn't like me.
Okay, so that's where it began.
That's where it began.
But you won him over.
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess so.
Well, you obviously did.
He's stuck now.
Yeah, married 2 children later, I would say somebody won somebody over.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, so y'all met working at Sargent's, is that right?
Sargent's,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, very good. So, now, what was his connection with Arlington? I know we'll interview Cody later, but...
Yeah, he grew up in
So
Arlington.
he's an Arlington boy. Okay, very good.
He did.
I learned about that. So that was just local for him then to be there.
It was. Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Let's see. Let's see. One of the questions I put down here to ask you is, what is it like being the daughter of the legend, John Miller? The man, the myth, the legend.
You know, it's funny because so many people think that being the judge's daughter, you get all of the special treatment and stuff, but that's really not the case. I remember the first time I ever got pulled over for speeding, and I wasn't racing.
Okay.
Note.
Okay.
But I was speeding, and I got pulled over, and the officer, of course, asked for my driver's license and saw my last name and said, "Please tell me that you are not Judge Milburn's daughter." I said, "I am." He goes, "You just better hope he's not listening to the scanner and that you get home and tell him before I see him next." So people always think that you get by with things, but really you don't. But it's neat in a lot of ways because so many people know my dad, not just from his career, but he grew up in the area.
Yes.
Him and my mom both. And they've been so connected with people and helped so many people. So it's always neat and just kind of comical sometimes because no matter where we go, somebody knows him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'd just like to comment for a second. I know that when your dad retired, they had the ceremony at the courthouse. He asked me to come up there and do a prayer for that.
Yeah.
And it was really an honor. And one of the things that I reflected on is that, you know what, imagine what that man knows and what he's done through the years for the county and the things he's seen. And anyway, so big appreciation for him on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I know you got to be proud of him.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely. He sacrificed a lot.
Yeah, I believe that. I really do. I believe that's the thing. Let's see. Oh, can you tell us a good Cody story?
Oh, goodness. Cody.
If you can't, that's fine, because
there are so many.
Marital strife. It's just if you got a good.
Well, Cody's actually pretty comical. He could probably tell a lot on himself. Oh, I'll have to think about that one. Let's come back because there are so many good ones. Now, I don't know if you know that Cody's terrified of spiders.
No.
Oh, Barry. Oh, he's so terrified. I mean, he's like a girl. He squeals and jumps, and we laugh that, you know how you guys tell hunting stories or fishing stories, and the fish or the deer gets bigger and bigger, and it was from further away, and the story just becomes so elaborate. Well, that's Cody with spiders. It's a spider that's the size of a quarter.
Right.
Then a week later, it's this huge spider that was the size
Yeah.
of my foot. And
Yeah.
he's terrified of spiders. It's really kind of funny. At work, they have played pranks on him, just putting spiders on his desk and all the things. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, if you want, I've got a toy spider that I use on Kelly.
Oh, you do?
Every so often, I'll take it and I'll put it in something, a drawer, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
You can't do it very often. It's got to be periodically. But if you want to borrow it sometime,
Poor
it's
Kelly.
This very big tarantula-looking thing.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
Cody won't do that. Really, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll blame it on Barry.
Yeah, blame it on me. That'll be great. Let's see. I'm just trying to think. Talk about. I mean, so you've got deep roots in this church and really kind of grown up going here.
Yeah.
Tell me some memories about this church. Anything stick in your mind? I mean, any stories? Any people? Anything?
Yeah, there's one that we always tell about my pop, John.
Okay, now
Johnny.
That is
My dad's dad.
Okay, that's what. So
Wanda's
yeah,
husband.
Right. Yeah.
But he was just a card. Always had something up his sleeve. Just ornery, liked to pick and prod. And Barney Barnhart was kind of the same way.
See, I've heard about both these
Oh, my
guys,
goodness.
So it must have been something. Yeah.
Oh, they would just razz each other every Sunday. You just knew you could see them coming together, and they always had something witty to say to the other. It was just hilarious. So one would be that relationship, and then the other, I think, would be as a kid, really little, coming to Sunday school class, and Bobby Barnhart, she actually taught Sunday school classes. And so I remember coming in with the little felt board and the felt people. And now, as I've gotten older and I've taught Sunday school classes, talking to my grandmother about that, about how back when I was a kid, they didn't have a lot of resources that we have now, the packets of information to teach from. So they would hand make a lot of those things out of felt. So it was just really neat. Those are some of my fondest memories. That and when Roger was here, he was here really the majority of my life. And every time you walked in, it was, come on in here and give old Raj a hug, just that big old teddy bear smile.
Another one of the man, the myth, the legend. Isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Really he made a huge stamp on this church, this community, really.
Well, and I think he was here, for my family at least, he was there for so many pivotal things.
Yes.
When my grandfather died, he married Cody and I, he baptized Cody.
Right.
So he was just there during the season in my life that was very impactful.
Yeah, very formative. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious now that you talked about, I'm going to back up a second on
Yeah.
something. There's a really neat little set of the books of the Bible made out of wood. Do you know who made that?
I don't.
Okay, well, it's here.
Oh, that's in the
It's in
classroom.
one of the classrooms, yes. It's actually
I
visual.
don't.
You can move them around and then, okay, I was just curious if you knew who made that, because you were right. A lot of things were made by people. And
Yeah.
so I was just curious if you knew who had done that, because
I
it
don't.
was one of those things we were going through, kind of refurbishing this wing. That's one of the things I made sure to say, because I thought somebody put a lot of work into that.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot throw this out. I mean, it's got to stay. It's
Yeah.
just a neat little set of all the books of the Bible made out of wood. And,
It is really neat.
yeah. Okay. Anyway, just curious if you know who made it.
I don't. But I was going to say one other thing I remember
Yes. I'm sorry. Go back.
growing up in the church. Of course, like you said, a lot of our family has been in the church for years.
Yes.
But I remember growing up as a kid, my family sat on one pew, all of us together. Of course, over the years, we've grown quite a bit.
Right.
Expanded.
Exactly.
But then we took up two pews, and then we just kind of expanded. Now we're kind of all split up around the church.
Right.
But I always remember on Sundays sitting with mom and dad at the very beginning, but I always tended to gravitate over towards Granny Mill. Of course, imagine that. All the kids love Granny Mill.
Of course.
And she always had mints in her purse and chewing gum, and she would always draw this cat. It's her famous cat. You have to ask her to draw it for you someday.
I will ask about that.
But it's so funny because now she would probably laugh and go, oh my gosh, it's not even that big of a deal. But I just always remember getting to sit by her, and she would take the bulletin out and draw the little kitty cat on the bulletin for me. But it was just always so neat because first the church was small.
Yes.
So you did know almost everybody. But then so many of them were my family too.
Right.
So just having that pew, I just remember going up and down and up and down.
Yep. Well, and you can do me a favor. Be sure, if possible, to get Wanda or Granny Mill. Anyway,
Yeah.
she's Wanda to me anyway, but Make sure she hears this because I'd like to get her in the chair.
She needs
You think we
to.
can do that?
We need to get her
Wanda,
in the chair.
will you do this?
Please.
All right, please. Anyhow. Anyway, so I just want to get that little plug in there.
Yeah.
If she'd be willing to do this down the road. So anyway, any other members from the church? Anything else sticks with you?
Not that I can think of.
And that's fine.
Yes, there is one.
Okay.
And I don't remember. I think it had something to do with an event, maybe in conjunction with a school, but I was really young. And we had this, it was almost like a talent show. And I remember a lot of people dressing up. And I can't remember if it was just my family, but they did a hee-haw skit that was hilarious. And then I remember some of the Martins sang, I think. But that was just such a fun time. And I think that's actually, there was a recording from Carl telling the story about Muffin the cat.
Oh, yes.
And I think that might have been where that
That's on
originated
YouTube.
from.
That's on YouTube. Did you know that?
I do.
Yes.
We have watched that so many times. Oh, it's hilarious.
I've downloaded it in case it ever gets lost.
Oh,
off of
good.
YouTube. So I've got it downloaded and I hopefully backed up. So
Yeah.
you know.
But I just remember that event was one of those where everyone was just in stitches laughing. It was hilarious.
We need to do that again.
Oh, it was so much fun.
So
Just good, clean humor. But I think the best part was seeing so many people that we see in a more serious tone at church
Yes.
that you have no idea how funny they are until you put them on a stage and see what they can do.
Yeah. Well, see, a side note to that, Carl told me this story several times that, apparently there was a contest between him and, was it Bobby Barnhart?
Maybe. Barney.
Anyway, or Barney, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think everybody decided that Carl won that night on the stories, and apparently Barnhart was really upset, like beaten by an amateur.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what he told Carl.
I could see that.
By an amateur, Carl told me that story several times. He was so proud to have beaten him that night with his story about the cat called Muffin.
Oh, Muffin.
Just call it Muffin. Anyway. Oh, that's great. That is really neat. Where all have you traveled?
We have not traveled a ton.
Okay.
But as a kid, probably the furthest that I've gone, well, for our honeymoon, we went to the Bahamas.
Okay.
Which was beautiful.
Oh,
Cody
man.
almost drowned us in the Bahamas. And about...
Cody.
Yeah. We decided that snorkeling would be fun.
Yes.
Because it's so clear.
Right.
Until Cody got water in his snorkel. And he kind of freaked out a little bit. By a little bit, I mean a lot. And he starts flailing. And they say if someone's panicked in water, they'll pull you under. And he did. But then I put my knees down and I grabbed his shoulders and I said, Cody, put your feet down. Just stand up. Because the water was literally to our knees.
You sure you won't? So we need to edit that
No,
story?
no, everybody needs to know that.
Cody, when you get your chance in the chair, you can tell one on her, okay? Fair's fair.
But we also, when I was a kid, we went to Canada. And that was a really, really fun trip.
What part?
We went Ontario.
Okay.
And then we went down to Michigan. But my parents, some people that they knew for my mom's work, their company was in Canada, so they lived there. So we actually got to go stay with them.
Cool.
So it was a lot of fun.
That's a beautiful place, isn't it?
Yes, it is beautiful. And they made me say y'all a lot.
Your parents or the Canadians?
The Canadians.
The Canadians, okay.
They thought that hearing a Texan was just very entertaining.
Oh, we went to Canada once, and we drove. Did y'all drive?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, we flew.
We made a whole trip up
Oh,
the
my
East
goodness.
Coast, saw all kinds of things. And so we went into Canada, and we had this, I don't know how to describe it to you, it was an old Suburban. And it was kind of rough. And, of course, we got Texas plates. And I remember pulling up to the Canadian side there, and the lady, I'm pulled up, and she just said, "Where are your guns?" I guess she saw Texas plates. And I said, "Ma'am, I knew you wouldn't let me bring them in here. I promise you I left them all at home. I didn't even bring my pocket knife."
They're at home with all the horses and
I said,
cows.
"They're locked up in the safe back home in Texas, ma'am. I promise you I didn't even bring my pocket knife." And she thought about it and said, "Where are you going?" And I told her where we were going, and then she saw the children in the back, so we showed them. At that time, you didn't have to have passports.
Okay.
But she wanted to see the birth certificate, so we had it with us. So we showed her the birth certificate, and she said, "Just go on."
That's
so she
funny.
didn't. But I guess it was just. I just joked with him. Was real honest. Said, no, man. Every gun I've got is back home because I knew you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
I knew better.
Yeah. But no, we drove that one. We drove across the border and had to go anyway. So
I bet y'all saw some really pretty country though on that drive.
all the way up that way. And you don't think about this. New York State is beautiful.
Oh yeah,
I've never been to New York City, but we went through New York State
right.
and gorgeous.
I've heard there's a lot of farmland. I have a really good friend that grew up in upstate New York.
In other words, whenever I hear the word New York, I just think city and
Exactly.
New York's a beautiful state.
Yeah.
It really is very pretty. Anyway, I'm sorry, we're sidetracking. Where else have you been? You've been to Canada?
Canada, the Bahamas, of course, Oklahoma, Arkansas, California,
Okay.
Utah. I think Utah is probably my favorite though.
It is a pretty state also.
It
It's
is
a different kind
beautiful.
of pretty, but it's
Yeah.
Beautiful place to go.
It's so pretty.
Mhm.
I think Utah's my favorite though.
I think one of the realities is, and I'm sure there's an exception to this, and somebody will probably tell me about it when they listen to this, but I think wherever you go, you can find beauty if you want to look for it.
Very true.
I really do. I think there's beauty, in everywhere. I'm sure somebody's got an exception, but in general, if you want to look for it, there's beauty everywhere.
Right.
It's just God's creation is amazing.
I agree.
It is, and you can look at it. So.
Yeah.
Anyhow, what else would you think people ought to know about me or don't know about me that might be interesting? And what?
I think that most people are shocked to find out that I'm a black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, you know what? I had lunch with your dad one day, and he told me about that. I'd forgotten all about that, but
Yeah.
you're right. So you're a black belt in Taekwondo. Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, the way we got onto that is your instructor was there.
Okay.
And came over the table and said hello to John and introduced, and that's how, so I don't remember his name now, that was years ago.
Yeah.
But, okay, black belt in Taekwondo, that's right, yeah.
That's anytime I have to have a work event and you have to tell a fact that nobody knows, that's normally the thing. People are just surprised. But I started out when I was young. I was really young, and then I taught for a couple of years, and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to know. I pray that I never need to use
Exactly,
it.
yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. So if somebody breaks in the house, you're more used than Cody?
Well, Cody would probably sleep through it. So
Oh, okay. Cody, she's
Maybe.
really razzing you, man.
he would agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know. He's a good shot.
Okay.
I think I would let him do it.
Yeah, you'll send him out first.
Yes.
I'm your backup.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'll stand here with the girls.
That's exactly what would
Right.
happen.
Okay.
But I think that, and another unique thing probably about our family is that we live in the house that my great grandpa built.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the really neat things for us. Well,
that
probably for me,
Yeah.
because I remember growing up and visiting my grandparents, and me and my grandmother would walk across the field to see my great grandmother.
Yes.
And now my mom watches my kids, so they get to walk across the field with their grandmother to see their great grandmother. So lots of memories there.
Yeah.
It's pretty
there
neat.
It's just all tied to that house, that land, all
Yeah.
of that. That's really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Was it pretty easy getting Cody to come out here to live?
You know, I was really surprised because I thought the whole time I knew him, he lived in Arlington,
City boy.
but he is not a city boy.
Okay.
He was a country boy trapped in the city. He couldn't wait to get out.
Well, good. That's nice when it comes together
Yes.
like that, and
Yeah.
he's willing to do, and that just gels so nicely. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
What else about Candace should we know? Anything else? What other jobs have you had?
Oh,
You told us about the Western wear, so
Yeah.
what else have you done?
my very first job, I was 15,
Mm-hmm.
and I begged my parents to let me go to work. And so they finally said, fine, please go get a job. Stop asking.
Right.
So I worked at 9 West selling shoes,
Okay.
women's shoes. And then after that, I worked at Guess
Mm-hmm.
with clothing.
Are these all at the Hillsborough Mall?
Yeah, I started
Okay.
out in Hillsborough.
Well, I guess it was thriving.
Used
Yeah.
to be. Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember when people used to park on the service road
Yes.
to go there.
No, yeah.
It's crazy.
Sorry. Whole other side, but yes.
And
okay.
then I stayed with Guess and transferred when I moved to Arlington.
Mm-hmm.
So I transferred up to Grapevine Mills. And then after that, I went to Sargent's. Then I worked, after I finished college, I worked in corporate dentistry.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the office manager there. And then after that, I worked at the birthing center as the office manager there.
Yes.
And now I am a Christian yoga instructor, and I work for an online chiropractic company doing all of their graphic design type work for them.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
an online chiropractic, how does that work?
They
How-
train women who are in chiropractic how to have a life, because it's so hard for moms who are chiropractors to be the moms that they want to be too. And the chiropractor that owns the company, the CEO, she found herself in that dilemma. So now she helps train women on how to structure their business so that they can be moms too and be with their kids.
Okay, well, neat.
Yeah.
That's neat. Well, you've just got a very, I guess, varied background there, then, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been fun. It's always nice to learn and kind of take that experience to wherever God sends you next.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See what doors get open, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to think. I'm looking over my list of questions here. All right, I guess let's just kind of do the generic things. What is your favorite type of music? Any artists?
I listen to Christian music, but I don't know that I necessarily have a favorite artist. It probably depends more on my mood, because I can go with like worship music. If I'm focusing, sometimes I listen to like piano hymns, but I feel like growing up in the church, sometimes that's more distracting because I'm singing the song in my head. So, and then sometimes I can go with even Christian rap. So it just kind of varies, but I would definitely say that I'd stick with Christian music. I just like, not just for me, but for my kids to be able to hear that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So are you a concert goer?
No, not really.
Really?
No,
Have you been?
I'm not a crowd person.
Not a crowd person?
No,
Okay.
not really. Yes, we went to see George Strait when Cody and I were dating. I think that's actually the only concert I've ever been to.
Well, so was that a bad experience for you?
No,
It was just kind of a
it was
middle road?
George Strait.
Oh, okay.
It was
Well,
great.
I'm just curious because you're not a crowd person. I mean, I mentioned it
No.
was crowded and loud. So
Yeah, no, I'm not big into crowds. Even malls, I don't like to shop. I just don't like
Wait,
being around
what?
groups. I know. It's
Cody,
strange.
You have found a gem.
I just don't like it.
Really?
No.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see. So, music. Favorite movies. Movies or anything there. Any love?
Cody
there?
will laugh when he hears this, but
Okay.
my favorite movie, they're probably already saying it listening to this recording, is White Christmas.
White Christmas.
It is my favorite movie. I could watch it any
Now,
time
that's
of the year.
Bing Crosby
Yes.
and, yeah. Who else was in that?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
But Bing's in there.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite movie. I actually hadn't seen it until probably a couple of years ago. A
That's
friend.
black and white. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, actually, no, it was in color.
It was in color. Okay.
In Technicolor.
Okay.
Yeah. But a friend that I worked with was shocked because I'm not really good at recalling actors and actresses' names or even movies. I'm just not a movie buff, I guess. And she gave me a whole list of, these are the things that you have to watch. At your age, you should have watched these at some point. And that was one of them. And we watched it, I think, almost every day for that rest of that month until my family was tired of it.
Wow.
But I love that movie.
White Christmas.
It's just so classic. I love it.
What do the girls love?
Well, they like White Christmas too.
Okay.
But of course, most recently, we've been watching a lot of Mulan and Cinderella. They've actually finally gotten into watching some of those Disney movies because before that, they just weren't big on actually sitting still long enough to watch a whole movie.
Are they singing the songs?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Callie, probably more so than Kennedy.
Now, see,
But yeah.
I would have reversed that if you'd asked me. I said it was, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Callie loves to sing.
She does.
She does.
I don't know if we're ever going to pull it off, but I want an LTC chorus.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be, anyway.
Maybe one day.
I'm still hoping, but
Yeah, me too.
anyhow, but that's great to know if they love to sing.
Yeah.
So that's good. So any other movies? Anything else that grabs you? Or?
No.
No. Okay.
Not really.
I think I was thinking of It's a Wonderful Life. That's a black and white, isn't it?
I think it is black and
I
white.
think that's what maybe I was thinking of. But anyway.
That's a good one too.
Yeah. Anyhow, books. What do you like to read?
You know, I like to read a lot of facts. Just true
You're not really a fiction
stories.
person.
Not really. Well, Harry Potter. I do like Harry Potter.
Okay.
I was very, very late to the Harry Potter scene. I actually read the whole series a year or two ago. So I do like Harry Potter. But that one just kind of sucks you in. But I think listening to The Hiding Place, it's about,
Okay. Go ahead.
oh goodness, what is her name? I can see her face right now. It's from the Holocaust.
Oh, was it the Corrie ten Boom?
Corrie ten Boom,
Yes.
yes. And it's such a good book.
Okay.
And listening to it on Audible,
Mhm.
I think makes it better because you have all of the accents and it just really takes you back to that time. But I think the book is incredible. Just it's a good read, but the information and how much adversity they faced and all the things that they went through, but then seeing the end and how she lived her life after experiencing all of that, it's just phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
How much a person can endure and still show so much love to the people that did it to her. It's incredible.
Yeah, people come out in different places. And
Yeah.
I just as kind of as an aside, I've been watching, it's on Amazon or Amazon Prime, it's called Texas Rising. It's kind of a dramatization of the Texas independence.
Oh.
And I think they've taken a lot of liberties with some Texas history, but I mean, I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying I think they have. There's just one fella that he makes this comment, he's talking to this other woman who had lost her family, and of course he had lost a lot too, and he said, it's interesting, your suffering seems to be bringing about good in this world, mine isn't. It was something you really wanted to change. But, so it's interesting how people can go through something, but I'm sorry, we didn't want to get too serious in this. But,
No, that's one of the things about Corrie too. Once she came out of it, is she actually helped rehabilitate other Jews who had gone through concentration camps. But then she started bringing in all of the people who had been part of the German army or who were part of all those horrific things and helped to rehabilitate them too, because she said, you have to really have a lot of hate in your heart to be able to do some of those things. So we have to show them love. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's, I don't know if you ever get a chance, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. Viktor Frankl, I think he was also a Holocaust survivor, and he wrote a book about basically the search for meaning. And it was really good. I mean, it's a classic. Everybody should read it.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I'll give you my word. I think it's worth checking out and reading. There's another guy, I think he's Elie Wiesel. Anyway, I would pronounce it differently as a Texan. But he tells this story that's just fascinating to me about these rabbis that were, because he was in the concentration camp. And he tells a story about these rabbis that put God on trial because of what they were going through.
Yeah.
And they basically found God guilty, and said when they were done, then they went out and worshiped God.
Yep.
Anyway, just some amazing things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to take it to, I'm sorry.
No, that's
We'll
right
go
down my
much
alley.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go much later. But anyhow, he's also another interesting one to read.
Okay.
I think he's one of the ones that kind of coined the phrase, the idea that the opposite of love is not hate but indifference. I think he's really championed that idea that it's really not hate that's the opposite of love. It's to be indifferent, to not even care.
Yeah.
Because so many people were indifferent.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, anyhow. Let's see. Candace, I think I've gone through my questions, and we've been at this about 40 minutes, I think.
Wow.
Blows by in a hurry, doesn't
It does.
Anyway, what else? Anything else you want to share? Anything else anybody should know about you?
I think most people know I'm an only child.
Oh, I remember that. Remember this couch I'm sitting on? I was like, you sure you want to help me move that? He's like, my dad treated me like a boy.
Yeah.
I had to help him move it
Yes.
around. Okay, grab it in.
Yep.
Yep.
And I enjoyed it too. Of course, there were those times. I was laughing when you and Kai had done the illustration. I think it was for the kids with the flashlight. Here, hold this.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I know how to hold a flashlight the right way
Yes.
to illuminate someone else's work.
Well, yeah, you're right, because I had to do that for my dad, and I'm sure had to do it for his dad. Yeah, that was a neat little illustration, the whole idea of, getting it there. And,
it's a good life skill.
It is, and then I love the little memes you see, like people post them on Facebook, about you've never been yelled at for not holding the light right in
Exactly.
the shows and stuff like that.
Or getting the wrong wrench or...
And I can't remember who posted. Somebody said, you can't hurt my feelings. I've had to ride home after a game with my dad. That one, Yep, you can't hurt my feelings. All right. Well, I'm sure I have missed something, but I do appreciate you coming up here to do this.
Yeah.
It's been great to do. And
Thanks for letting me.
Get this posted out there, and hopefully we'll do some more of these down the road. So
I hope so.
Listen to yours, and work with me on getting Wanda / Granny Mill in.
I know.
Okay? We'll try to do that.
It might have to be a group effort.
Okay. We'll group it, whatever we got to do.
I think it would be amazing to hear from her, though.
I wonder, would it help if we got her? Would your dad have any pull with her?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Well, anyhow.
She doesn't like to talk about herself. She's very humble.
So it might help if we had somebody else in here that could kind of pull some stuff out.
Maybe so.
Anyway, we'll see. But thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
You
Cody,
bet.
thanks for the loan tonight, letting Candace come up. Hope everything went well. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Y'all have a great rest of the week.